As predicted, Vasyl Lomachenko has said that the Luke Campbell fight was the toughest of his career. I'm going to quote Vasyl Lomachenko. He says, "I said before it would not be easy. He is a very smart and technical boxer with a big reach. That is his main power. It was the biggest stretch of my career because it was like an amateur fight, because it was so technical. Yes, he hurt me. He has big punching power and he caught me with a couple of shots. I was close to getting the knockout, but it doesn't matter. The knockout, the score, it doesn't matter. It was just a win. My dad was not concerned with me getting the finish and winning with a knockout. He just told me to keep throwing combinations and to get the win. I need to see my fight back on TV and then I will understand. If I scored it out of 10, I would probably give it a 7. So those are the words of Vasyl Lomachenko. Now, I said in my post-fight video that the scorecards were way too wide. And it's kind of similar to the Sergey Kovalev and the Yard fight the other weekend. But with the Sergey Kovalev and the Yard fight, I think the judges' scorecards were pretty fair. You know, one of the judges had Yard winning 4 rounds, another one 3 rounds, another one 2. I think those are pretty fair scorecards, particularly the 4 rounds and 3 rounds. But with the fans, for some reason, many of them thought that Yard only won 1 round. Absolutely absurd. I mean, what fight were they watching? It just shows that how the commentary can influence people's perception. Because the judges in Kovalev's own backyard were giving Yard 4 rounds, 3 rounds, etc. But the fans are only giving him 1 or 2 rounds? That doesn't make any sense. Were you saying the judges were biased in favor of Yard in Russia? Of course not. It's just that people's perceptions were way off. 1, because of John Rawlins' terrible commentary. And 2, because many of them just wanted Sergey Kovalev to dominate Anthony Yard. And so that's what they saw, even though that's not, the full story of what happened. Yes, he won the fight. Yes, he was definitely ahead going into that 11th, but it was far more competitive than people seem to think it was. And the same here with the Lomachenko Campbell fight, although with the Lomachenko Campbell fight, it's not just the fans, but also the judges who had this fight looking as though it wasn't even competitive. This fight, as Lomachenko said himself, was the toughest of his career. It was the biggest stretch of his career. Well, how can that be? Because if you look at the points, he has had closer fights on the scorecards than this, Lomachenko. Go look at the Gary Russell Jr. fight. Way closer on the scorecards than this Luke Campbell fight. Because I'm telling you, there is absolutely no way that Lomachenko won all the rounds in this fight. That's completely ridiculous. You would have to be the biggest Lomachenko fanboy on earth, or you'd have to be on the Bob Arum Lomachenko payroll to be giving him every single round in the fight. That is absolutely absurd. I think, realistically, Campbell won a minimum of 3 rounds in this fight. Minimum. I want to say 4 rounds, 5, and then if somebody out there has got Campbell winning 4 or 5 rounds, I can't grumble. Yeah, 5 might be a little push, 4 might be more realistic. But when you add the knockdown in, of course, that's going to give Lomachenko the edge. This was actually a really good fight, a compelling fight. Yeah, Lomachenko was definitely the deserved winner, and in the second half of the fight is when he pushed home his advantage. He scored the knockdown. He, hurt Campbell multiple times. But in the first 7 rounds, I'm telling you, Lomachenko was having some anxious moments in there. Because Campbell's counter-punching was first class. His use of range and movement was first class. His body punches were hurting Lomachenko. And I think that's where Lomachenko was mainly getting hurt, was to the body. I think a couple headshots did steady him up as well. But the body shots were what Lomachenko really had to respect. So yeah, man, I think, again, Lomachenko was the definite winner. No question about it. And he's a naturally smaller man at the end of the day. Luke Campbell, you could see in there, was a hell of a lot bigger than he was. So you still got to give Lomachenko a tremendous amount of credit for winning these kind of fights. But if we're just looking at it objectively in terms of the scorecards and in terms of what kind of fight it was, this was not a Lomachenko masterclass. All these people out there giving Luke Campbell 1 round and 2 rounds in a fight, I don't know what on earth you were watching. Watch the fight again without any commentary, for the love of God, because that was a very competitive fight. That was not no 119, 108 fight, like some of the judges had it. Are you mad? That was a real tough fight for Lomachenko. I mean, God only knows what people are watching, but that was a real tough fight. Luke Campbell did tremendously well, and as Lomachenko said there, it was very technical. You know, Luke Campbell was on it like a car bonnet. You know, he brought all that Olympic amateur pedigree out and showcased it. So I'm glad that Lomachenko can give Campbell the credit that he deserves, and, you know, call it the biggest stretch of his career, because that's what it was. You know what I mean? We forget about the Toledo fight. You know, if you forget about that, the Campbell fight was his toughest fight. Yeah, I know some people are going to talk about Linares. There is no way the Linares fight was as tough as the Campbell fight. I've seen the Linares fight. It wasn't as tough as this fight for him. So I think that moving forward, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to beat Lomachenko, not only because he is a fantastic talent and, you know, pound for pound, the best in the world, if not top 2, top 3 in the world. You know, not everybody's got the same pound for pound list, but he's certainly an extremely special talent, Lomachenko. I mean, anybody who can win 400 amateur fights or whatever it was and only lose one, I mean, you have to be almost superhuman in your boxing ability to be able to do that. So he's a tremendous fighter, but on top of that, with Bob Arum and the amount that him and ESPN are invested in this man, judges' scorecards are going to be favorable for Lomachenko, even if he's in a very tough fight. Yeah, because if they can come out in Luke Campbell's backyard, if they can come out with 119, 108 scorecards in Campbell's backyard in a tough competitive fight, I mean, just imagine what they can do in Ukraine or in America, which is, you know, Lomachenko's home from home, really, right? He's a Ukrainian, but he's based in America. If he's fighting some other B-side fighter who pushes him very close, how are they going to get a decision? They better knock Lomachenko out, because they ain't going to get no decision based upon what I saw last Saturday night on them scorecards. Because that was crazy, bro. That was crazy. It's no way it was that kind of fight. Oh, the knockdown. I mean, some of the comments I saw are just baffling me. You clearly weren't watching the fight properly if you think it was that wide for Lomachenko. Absurd. I think something like 117 to 111, 112, somewhere around there is more realistic. Yeah, 117, 112. I'll take that. Some even tighter than that. I couldn't grumble. As long as you've got Lomachenko winning by 3 or 4 rounds, you know, 3 or 4 rounds there or thereabouts, I would say at the most. You know, you couldn't give Campbell any more than that. You couldn't have it closer than Lomachenko winning it by 3 or 4 rounds. You couldn't have it closer than that. But if you had it at that, can't grumble with it. You know, the knockdown in the second half of the fight certainly helped Lomachenko out a hell of a lot. You know, and I say helped out. He helped himself out by achieving what he achieved in the second half of the fight. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys my revised thoughts on that, on the scorecard in light of what Lomachenko himself has said. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.